statement showing liability of the underwriter. Statement showing liability of the underwriter. So we have the particulars and the amount. Okay. So we start with the gross liability. Now here the gross liability would be 90% of the issue. So it's 10,000 shares. The entire issue is not underwritten into 90%. Which becomes 9,000. So basically the issue that is underwritten is only 9,000. If the public do not subscribe to a single share, the underwriter will have to take up only 9,000 shares. That's what it means. Okay. Now, problem here is less marked applications. Now, we don't know what are the marked applications. We know the total applications that have been received from the public. That is 8,000 shares. Okay, 10,000 shares were issued. 9,000 is the responsibility of the underwriter. 1,000 is the responsibility of the company. Out of the 10,000, 8,000 shares have been subscribed from the public. But we don't know how many are the marked applications, and we need to minus the marked applications to get the net liability of the underwriter. Can anyone tell me how we will go about this? Can anyone tell me? Just give a guess or what you think should be done in a situation like this. In a situation like this, what do you think should be done? How will we find out our marked applications? You can just give a guess. Okay, it may be right, it may not be right. Quick. Can anyone guess how we are going to find out our marked applications, or how would it be? What would be an appropriate way of finding it out? So when marked applications are not given, this is the way we find out marked applications. So can anyone decide how we are going to do it? Can anyone give a guess how we are going to do it? Okay, so not to waste much time. Now, whenever marked applications are not given to us, but we know the total applications that have been received from the public, what we do is just a simple thing: take the total applications, okay, and multiply it by the percentage that is underwritten. So what we are assuming that these are the total applications. Out of this, since we don't know what is marked and unmarked, we are assuming that 90% of this will be in favor of the underwriter. Since underwriter has underwritten 90% of the issue. That's the only way we can do it. There is no other way. So if marked applications are not given to you, the total applications are given, just multiply the total applications with the percentage underwritten. This is the formula. So unlike the other three problems, in this problem, the marked applications were not given to us. So this is the way I'm going to do it. Okay, so whenever the marked applications are not given, this is the way of finding it out. So this comes to 9 8 are 72, 7,200. So the net liability of the underwriter would be, there's no firm underwriting here. The net liability would be 1,800. Okay, so this is similar to the first problem. The only difference is we didn't know what was first and the second problem. We didn't know what were the marked applications. So I've done this problem. One reason is to find out what would be the liability of the underwriter. Okay. Now there's also commission that is payable. There's also commission. So the underwriter has to pay. An amount on these shares which have to be taken up. Okay, so we'll just do that. The other statement that we normally do, statement showing statement showing amount due to slash due from underwriters. Just one column. So we have the particulars. Now how we normally start: number of shares to be subscribed by underwriter, number of shares to be subscribed by underwriter. Basically the underwriter has to take up only 1800 shares. Okay, so I close this and then I start with the amount. Amount payable at the rate of rupees 115 per share on application. Now I have taken entire fund 115. They said all the amounts from allottees were received in one installment. So just in one installment, okay, at the rate of rupees 100 per share on application. So 1000 into 1800 into 115 will give me 2,07,000. Will give me 2,07,000. Okay. Now there's no question of minusing what is paid on firm underwriting, because there's no firm underwriting. So this is also going to be the balance payable by the underwriter. So I'll also call this balance, or I'll say amount payable only. Okay, it's understood that that is going to be the amount. This is going to be my amount here. Next, I calculate the underwriting commission less underwriting commission. Okay, now since it's just one person, I don't have to do. So what is going to be underwriting commission is always calculated on the gross liability. So it's going to be 9,000 into, now instead of multiplying it by 115, I'm going to multiply it only by 100. Why 100? Because they've said on the nominal face value. So not 115, not the issue price, but the face value into 1%. Into 1%. Okay. So it's going to be 9,000 into 100 into 1%, which comes to 9,000 again. Which comes to 9,000. So basically, the company has to pay the underwriter 9,000. Okay, and the underwriters have to pay the company 2,07,000. So finally, it's going to be the underwriter who will have to pay. So I will say amount due from underwriter, because there's nothing due to the underwriters. Normally, why we put due to, because there are some underwriters that have to be paid, and from some underwriters you receive. Now, in this case, it's the underwriter who's going to pay the company. So it's going to be 2,07,000 minus 9,000, which will be 1,98,000. 1,98,000. Okay. Now, quickly, we'll just do the journal entries. We'll just pass the journal entries for this. Journal entries in the books of journal entries in the books of, who's the company? X Limited. Journal entries in the books of X Limited. So we have here particulars, debit and debit and credit. Okay, particulars debit and credit. Now, so the first thing is the receipt of the application money, bank account debit to share application account, bank account debit to share application account. And here we have 8,000 shares, 8,000 applications have been received, correct? 8,000 applications have been received. 8,000 into rupees 150. 8,000 into rupees 115 comes to 9 lakh 20,000. 9 lakh 20,000. Okay. So I'm going to say being, this is the same thing that we normally do, usually do. Being application money received on 8,000 shares, 8,000 shares at the rate of rupees 150 per, at the rate of rupees 115 per. The next thing that we do is transfer the application money to share capital and see what the underwriter has to pay. Next thing I will do is share application account debit. Okay, one underwriter has to still pay an amount. To share capital account, and we also have premium here, so I have to show the premium separately. To share premium account. Now just pay attention. First we have how much in our application, 9,20,000, that I will write here. Now when I'm calculating this, I need to be a little careful. Now even though 10,000 shares are issued fully, okay, we know that applications have been received on 8,000 shares. And besides that, the underwriters are also going to take up 1,800 shares. So when I'm transferring to the share capital, I cannot transfer entire 10,000 shares, because out of that, out of 10,000, only 9,800 is going to be done. 200 is still left, which is going to be the responsibility of the company. Nothing has been told how the company intends to raise money on those shares. So in case since it's partial underwriting, I cannot transfer the entire 10,000, because the underwriters have not taken up responsibility for the entire 10,000. Okay, so when I'm transferring, it's going to be on 8,000 plus the what the underwriters have to take up, 1,800, which is equal to 9,800 into rupees 100. And for share premium, it's going to be again 9,800 into rupees 50. I don't show 115 here because 100 goes to share capital, 15 goes to share. So if I multiply this, it will be 9 lakh 9,80,000, and this is going to be 9,800. 9,800 into 15 is going to be 1 lakh 47,000. Okay, and let's see if the balance tallies here. Who has to pay? That is broker and company. That's the name of the underwriter. Broker and company account debit, that comes to 2,07,000. So if you put this together, 1,47,000 plus 9,80,000 comes to 11,27,000, and this also actually, yes, this also comes to 11,27,000. The only difference was here, I have not transferred the entire 10,000. I have only transferred what has come from the public and what the underwriters have taken up. What happens to what the company is doing with the remaining shares, we don't know. Okay, so it's going to be B application money transferred to share capital and share premium account, and the balance adjusted towards underwriting, and the balance adjusted towards underwriting, just one underwriter. And then the last two are next one is the underwriting commission, as the usual entry. Underwriting commission account debit to broker and company. Underwriting commission payable is 9,000 rupees, 9,000 rupees, being being underwriting commission payable record. And the last one is the payment of the receipt. Now, in case here of this problem, the underwriter has to pay the company. So it's going to be bank account debit to broker and company. To broker and company, which is going to be how much does broker and company have to pay? 1,98,000. 1,98,000. That is being amount received from underwriter after adjusting underwriting commission. Being amount received from underwriter after adjusting underwriting commission.